Welcome to episode 22 of Experience Andy Wines Live. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of the I statement and why starting most things with I will help you as you take control of your life, becoming the victor of your story versus the victim of your circumstance. So, let's get through things right off the bat. Words fucking matter, available Amazon, Kindle. You can also buy it on my website, andywines.com. Or if you see me in the street, let me know. I hawk them out of the back of my Jeep whenever I have people nearby. So pick up the book, get the knowledge, and then come on the show and learn more deeper of why I wrote the book and how to apply it more in practical applications day-to-day life. Second thing we always do, a moment of gratitude. I'd like to thank you, the listener, you, the people that support me. This weekend, yesterday, I went to the Nary Home and Garden Show in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I walked in and I got a cup of decaf coffee. I turned the corner, and the first gentleman looked at me like he knew me, and he gave me a nod. I go, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Are you Andy?" I go, "I am Andy." And then he proceeded to tell me that he bought my book, that he listens to the content on LinkedIn, and that it inspires him to take more control of his life. And then we stood there and chatted for a bit on small business. He has a landscaping company. I do junk removal. So it was great that we had an opportunity to connect on a human level when really we're there for mostly business purposes. And so I want to thank all the people that go to the way to watch the content and then also engage with it. As we know in life, there's three types of people. There are going to be the people that create, the people that contribute, and the people that consume. And my challenge to you is step up your game. Anybody can be a consumer. I challenge you to contribute to the creators that are out there in the world, contribute to the greater cause. And when you have a message worthy of saying, when you have your art worthy of sharing, go out and create and see what happens. I have my challenges each and every day where I question whether or not what I'm doing is worthy. And so I'm grateful for the people that say that the words that I've given them have changed their lives. So there we go. Now we have the two orders of business done, and now let's get into the meat and potatoes of the power of the word I and I statements. Let's look at something like this. This is a classic thing that happens to us as people. You'll hear things like someone says to you, "You make me feel this way." And not like that good song, more like, "You make me," and then insert however somebody's feeling. Instead of taking ownership, they're making this victim statement as if they have no control over this, right? "You make me late. You make me feel unworthy. You made me fail at this thing." No, transform that statement, because we hear people say that, and often we'll say it to ourselves and say it out loud. They made me. No, they didn't do shit. First and foremost, they is this blanket of bullshit that we pass on to others. They, no, bullshit. Let's start with, I feel this way when. And now you are becoming a victor of your own circumstance. So that is the first set of I statements that I want to focus on. I versus you language when it comes to your feelings. So a very simple Mad Libs example is, I feel insert emotion when name that person or thing, the activating event happens, right? I feel rushed when you are late, right? Very simple. I often use the examples of people running on time or not on time, because in all relationships, people struggle with that. Hell, I watched a video earlier today about how Vladimir Putin is infamous for making people wait. He made the Pope wait for 50 minutes. He made John Kerry wait for 3 hours. Why? Because it's a power play. Anyways, it happens at all levels of humanity. However, I versus you when it comes to expressing your feelings is a very simple example. And yet, what it does is it lowers your walls. Because often people are like, "You make me feel this way, and I had no choice." No, you did have a choice. You did feel a certain way. I never want to question someone's emotions. The emotions are there. The emotions are a response because of a thought you had. So we can dig deep. Okay, what caused that emotion? I had an argument with somebody recently, and in the argument, I said, "Okay, hold on. If I just send this text message," it was an argument over comfort, we'll call it. And I said, "If I just send this text message, is the argument over? Or can we be done talking about this?" And they said, "No." Okay, so this really has nothing to do with me sending a text message. What is behind it? And turns out there was a lack of comfort from the other person on as to what something I was doing. So once we peel back that layer of comfort, okay, now what can I do to make the other person feel more comfortable because it started with, I feel this way when you do or don't do this thing. Now, because we can focus on the I feel and the emotion, that is the key right there. That's the searchable term that we can dig into. And now we can both put our efforts towards making or creating an environment. I was about to say making someone feel a certain way, wrong, about creating an environment wherein the person feels their ideal place. So if someone says, I feel uncomfortable with this, okay, what can we do to make you feel more comfortable? Let's talk about this. What are some things that we can control? Or the inverse is, okay, we want to dig a little deeper. Why do you feel uncomfortable with that? And then we can dig into that and ask why 5 times. And I would argue, I love discomfort, right? Comfort is the enemy of progress. P.T. Barnum says that I talk about in my book. I love uncomfortable situations. I love discomfort. That's me. If comfort is a scalable thing, there are some people that love discomfort. Talk about, I can't think of his name. Go Hard. That's what it says. Go Hard. Navy SEAL, Army Ranger. This is why I see I'm shooting remote and then I have Taylor on the other side to tell me David Goggins. There we go. I normally have Taylor right on the other side of the screen. That's like David Goggins. I was like, oh, yeah, David Goggins. Anyways, he says every day, wake up and do something difficult first thing in the morning, right? Do something uncomfortable first thing in the morning. He changes it, or he chases discomfort, right? And you have other people that want to live a comfortable lifestyle. That's the American dream is, let's be comfortable. I'm more like David Goggins. Let's be uncomfortable. So when you start talking to people, when they qualify their feelings, you can figure, okay, how do I meet them where they're at? I might love discomfort. Someone else wants to be more comfortable. How do I meet them there? And the best way is when they use I language, because now they can express how they feel. Another powerful I statement is I know versus I think. Often people will say, I think it should be this way. Hold on, why are you thinking? When people use the term I think, they're generating, they're creating a thought. I find I think to be extremely passive language. It's unsure. It shows a lack of confidence. Also, I think is not qualifiable versus I know. So, very funny example, a simple example last night. We were at my parents' house. My daughter and I were playing family game night. And before Google came out, my dad had a monopoly on knowledge because he knew random obscure things. And he said it with such confidence, no one challenged him. Anyways, he said, did you know? Actually, I have a banana right here. Here we go. So, good thing we're shooting remote. Okay. He said, did you know that bananas grow on trees going up? That's what he said. Did you know that bananas grow on trees growing up? And I said, is that a trick question? He goes, no. Did you know that? I said, I know they grow up. Moreover, I know they don't grow on trees. He goes, yeah, they grow on trees. Banana tree. I go, no, they don't grow on trees. That's all I said. I know they don't grow on trees. So I Googled it real quick. No, bananas do not grow on trees. They are considered shrubs or bushes. So in a simple situation like this, I could say, I think they grow on trees. I thought I read that somewhere. No, go to the Google machine. I know that bananas grow up on bushes or shrubs, not on trees. Okay, simple example. Now let's think about it when something is more subjective. I think they said that. I think that's what they're implying there. How do you know? You don't. So now you're assuming, now you're interjecting your bias, you're injecting your thoughts and your feelings and all the subjective shit on your mind. Instead, take a hold on. How can I go from I think to I know? Let's go out to that person. Hey, what were your intentions? Hey, what did you mean by that? And they might tell you something that was completely way off because you went for, I think she's pissed. Okay, why do you think that? Oh, because she was snarking to me in the elevator. It's okay, let's go ask her. Hey, Sally, why were you snarking in the elevator? She might be like, I didn't know I was snarky. It's been a rough morning. My kids got sick. I forgot my cup of coffee. I broke my heel. I don't know, right? There's nothing to do. We're good, right? Instead, you would say, I think she was talking shit. I think she was snarky. No, going to know. And she might also say, yeah, you know what? I don't like you because you did this. All right, let's have a little bit of conflict. And then we can get to the other side of it. You might get the answer that you were looking for. And now you know, I don't think she's pissed at me. You say, I know she's pissed at me. And now you can ask this magical question, why is she pissed at me? And is it my responsibility to fix it, or is it her responsibility to fix that? You might say, I'm pissed at you because you got a promotion and I didn't. Sounds like a her problem. Hey, I'm pissed at you because you took my parking spot this morning. Okay, yeah, you know what? All right, I won't take it. I won't park it. I won't park it. I'll park in a different spot. I was going to say I won't. I kept saying I won't. I'm recalibrating the sentence in my head. Fine. I will park somewhere else. Focus on the start or the continue versus the stop. All right. Let's get into the last powerful I statement, and then we're going to go into the stops. And again, everything we've talked about so far is either start or continue, depending on where you are in all these exercises. All right, this is one where I've combined two of my favorite mentors together. So there's a speaker I heard years ago, his name Boaz, and he talks about I used to. That's one of his powerful statements. And then another gentleman, Chris Kalenda with the Strategic Leadership Academy, he talks about the most powerful transitional period is so that. So I combine two very smart people to make a statement, which is I used to insert whatever limiting self belief you have. So used to, and now, new statement, so that, where Chris comes in, the expected result. So now, instead of giving yourself an excuse, like for me, oh, I have PTSD, I have ADD. That's my reason for it, right? AD, right? I procrastinate because I can. I wait till the last minute because I can. That's what I do, right? And now I can own that statement and say, okay, I used to procrastinate, and now I'm more intentional with my time and my research so that I get a better result when it's time for me to show up. Even today's episode, last episode I was not happy with. Last episode I had written some things down throughout the day. I thought through the episode, and then when I actually did the episode, I wanted it so bad to come across the way it came in my head. And I had a very poor performance from my perspective last week. I didn't say the things I wanted to say and how I wanted to say them. And so now this week, instead of thinking about it throughout the day, I said, okay, I'm going to spend the 15 minutes prior to the show really diving in. I took a few notes instead of having these long written out things, right? So a case in point, right? I used to think about the episodes beforehand, and now I write down a few notes so that I can have a more organic conversation with the audience, right? I'm 22 episodes into this. That's a fact, right? Let's go into the last one. Actually, I had one more I skipped, and we're not going to get to it, right? I am versus I'm thinking, talking, trying. No, I am this. So, for example, I had an employee a couple months ago who, after 2 weeks, was not where we anticipated her being, right? We had very clear objectives. She was not there. After 4 weeks, she was not where we thought she could be after 2 weeks. And I brought this up to her. And she goes, I've only been here 19 days because there was a holiday in there. And she goes, and of those 19 days, I was on the truck for 3 days. I've only actually worked here 16 days. I go, okay. In 16 days, you're not where we anticipated you being after 2 weeks, so 10 days. And she kept using excuses as to why she couldn't. Versus saying, hey, I am struggling. I do not understand this. I need support here. It was excuse after excuse. Instead, stating, I am. Be proud of who you are, right? I am struggling in this area. What can we do now in the present so that I meet expectations in the future? The challenge is people want to give themselves these bullshit excuses by living in the past. Instead of saying, I am this, they'll say, this is the way I was raised, or, well, that's how religion is. No, bullshit. I am this way. For example, I am for real simple, right? The old people buy from those they know and trust, Dale Carnegie, right? I am one you can trust and you can know. Bottom line, right? And I also use the meatloaf math, right? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I am, how do I say this? I am responsible for people knowing me and trusting me. I am not responsible for people liking me. I own both of those statements. Those statements do not contradict. Now, will I potentially struggle with some business relationships and personal ones because I do not go out of my way to be liked? Yes. And I am good with that. So now I've taken ownership by stating what I am and who I am today without any other religion, family, political affiliation. I am this way and I choose to be this way. All right, let's get into the stop before we wrap this thing up. So, one of the ones I constantly use, and so there's two. I think, which we already disqualified by saying I know versus I think. So it's no longer subjective, it's objective. And the other one I want to hit and I want to hit and I want to hit because it is that important. I can't, I won't, I don't. I am consistently reminding the people here on this show about the limiting use of the words can't, won't, don't when you put your I in front of it. And I am guilty of it. I struggle with it. I probably 3 or 4 times in this 15 minutes right now have said I can't, I won't, or I don't when I started sentences. It is limiting self belief. Taylor, my producer, sent me over some things earlier today, which started stimulating the conversation about what we're going to talk about today. And what he said was the two quotes, and I'm going to use one of them here. Bruce Lee, do not speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. What you're not changing, you are choosing. So this is the key. When you say I can't, I won't, I don't, you are right. When you give yourself limiting self-beliefs, you are right. I used to use limiting self-belief language because I thought it was funny. And now I realize the power the words have within me so that I can become the person that I want to become, not the person I was. When you understand the power of language, when you use your words, when you use I statements, you get to take over your life. You get to decide who is the victor within the story that is your life. You get to decide what character you play in other people's stories. You get to decide how you express yourself because you are entitled to your feelings and your emotions and your thoughts and what you bring to this world. There are 7.9 billion yous out there, but you are the only you to go all full Dr. Seuss. My challenge to you is simple. You have this opportunity to use I statements to show the world who the fuck you are day in and day out. Own it, know it, grow with the person you are to become the person that you will be someday. My advice to you this week and always is always the same. Do the fucking thing, tell the fucking world, show the fuck up, and we'll see you next week.